I'm going to be a bit possessive here and not give the floor before I address them. Um, it's a privilege to have them, so I'm just going to take this opportunity. First and foremost, I really thank you, all four of you, for the courage of sharing such personal, I think, experiences. I'm sure this comes from a absolutely personal history and memory. And so if any of my questions or directions are too intrusive, tell me shush. All right. So feel free, or from the audience. But I believe this panel was very personal to all of us. And I want to start off. I have this annoying habit of just picking up words and tying them together. I'm just going to start off on this side, and then I'll move to that side. And I want to address both Sadaf, right? Safad, of course, I'm sorry, right? And Krikor. And you both, key word that I picked on when you were presenting was the concept of shattered dreams, right? That your work is all about dreams and not shattered. And I'd like to, if you would not mind, both of you sharing with us how this movement, from your personal experiences, from the garden back to the garden, from the home back to the home, in some sense, of how do we work on communally and individually, both, I think, on coming from shattered dreams back to dreams for moving forward. And I'd like to hear from both of you, please.
Um, you know, putting things aside, like everything that I personally, after everything um, it's on.
Oh, it's on.
Yes.
Just bring it closer, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry.
As I was saying, after everything I passed through, um, putting things aside and starting back from scratch is so hard. And I'm like still suffering from that thing. But life goes on. We should continue to live as long as we're breathing, uh, and chase our dreams, and to help our families, to help our community.
I know, sorry, I know this is difficult, Gregory. Yeah. So I'm just gonna take it back to your project. When you talk about rebuilding from the rubble, and you talked about, the laughter swallowed up, how do you imagine this will bring back the laughter with it, or bring back this kind of, I'm sorry, I'm picking on this because I realize it's personal, but I also realize it's communal, right? So how do you envision this project moving forward in terms of its impact on the community?
Um, Regarding my project, the core houses, as I mentioned, uh, people themselves, the community itself, can put hands together and assemble the core houses, um, which would foster a sense of ownership and resilience. Building their core houses in their city, and not like immigrate and leave their homes and come to Lebanon, for example. So yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you. Um, and and the
Thank
floor is
you.
yours, please.
All right. Thank you so much for the question. Well, about the shattered dreams is that I always envisioned myself growing up and helping people, because I remember I didn't have a goal in life. And once I casually asked my mother that, what do you want me to do? And she just said that, help those who are in need. And that stays in my head till that day. Like, since that day, it's still here. And what I really want to do is help, but I did not I did not find my way yet. Like, how am I going to help people? But then as I was going slowly moving forward, I realized that, yeah, this is my way and I should do more in this regard. And therefore, the major that I chose to study, and most importantly, that I focus on community service, that really shapes what I really aspire to do in my future. So that's how play therapy and Gardens of Light, it became as it is today.
Excellent. And just a quick follow-up on, because you mentioned volunteering in Lebanon as well as kind of envisioning things for Kandahar. This is for me at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is something that is scalable and reproducible anywhere, right? I mean, when you think of creating these spaces, how do you envision this could have a ripple effect beyond Kandahar into Afghanistan and maybe beyond?
Um, what was really important for me was that the sense of capability that it gave me, that I could be of help to other children regardless of borders or language barrier or other differences. Although we kind of struggled with Arabic and English while implementing my project here in Antilles, but we did have facilitators. We had interpreters that helped us throughout the project. But the most important thing was that it helped me, it gave me a sense of that I can do this, whatever the challenge is.
Excellent. I think you've given us also a sense of maybe we can do something as well. So very inspiring. Thank you both. Moving on to Godiola and Layan. And there, the theme for me was planting, whether it was planting in the actual sense or planting seeds of hope, both. And I'd like to really start on this personal journey for both of you in terms of, on the one hand, this connection with identity itself. On the other hand, I would say this connection with the security of life itself, right? And I think this is global hardscape, to use Rabia's coinage. How do we look at this from the perspective of, in the face of such adversity, still to be able to think about planting and not, say, as Gregor mentioned, for instance, just getting up and leaving? And you mentioned displacement and, of course, you know, the diaspora that you noted, Layal, as well.
Thank you so much for the question. I think mine, I guess, is the planting in the actual sense. As you have said, planting has always existed, and then it's something that is moving. But I think the reality now, we have now to acknowledge that things are changing, like climate change is happening, uncertainty of wars. For me, planting, it's a continual journey that needs to be improved, needs to be improved. So being like in a region when there is climate change, but again, people can't live without planting. Innovation plays a role. Everything is getting innovative. That's the time when everyone needs to be innovated. And then some people don't have the knowledge to get innovation or are not exposed to the world. My case, I couldn't know that there was something I can do apart just helping the sick in the malnutrition treatment center if I wasn't exposed to what Lebanon is doing, internet, what others are doing, getting support. So to me, planting needs to continue to be improved. Then it needs just like backup resources, like me, everyone, and then the people needs to be open-minded to receive, to acknowledge that things are changing. To me, that's it.
Thank you.
Dr. Hani, can you please repeat your question?
I'll try. It was more of a statement with a hidden question mark. Thank you, Leia. No, I'm just thinking in terms of the importance of planting seeds, whether in planting in the full sense, actual sense, and you mentioned explicitly planting seeds of hope, right? As an attempt in the case that you were working on of forming identity and really, you know, to continue with the analogy of planting or growing roots. And how do you envision this project, for instance, let's be particular here, in terms of creating that identity, planting that rootedness, and somehow not only, you know, as I mentioned with Gregor, not only, you know, having people not move, but actually perhaps bringing them back to a certain rootedness.
So the reason I decided to make this project is because there's this sort of pain of not being able to connect to my country. But even if I wanted to connect to my country, I never lived in it and I can't live in it, which is something that hundreds of thousands of people like me feel. So I felt like it's something that basically happened mostly during the war. So the fact that I know a lot of people experienced this just made me know, like, I was completely sure that something should bring them back and something can bring them back. So I was hoping that my project can at least attempt to do that, because I know how great my country is, but it seems like everyone has forgotten about that. And I know that that a lot of people feel this pain. So I hope that my project can try to do that, even if it's just among the youth, because the older generation already has an idea of how great the country was. So that's
In the coming, yes, sorry. And the coming back in the physical sense, perhaps, but even in the virtual sense, right? In this identity creation. Right?
Just to add, I focused on the diaspora and the aspect of virtual reality, because a lot of the diaspora cannot be physically present in Syria. So it's just a way that I can bring Syria to them, like bring home to them. So that's why I wanted to create like an immersive VR experience.
Very good, thank you. I'll let go of my possessiveness now and open the floor to the audience. Please, if you have any questions or follow-ups to our panelists, the floor is yours. One at a time. No questions from the floor? Anything further any of you would like to add? See. Well, thank you so much for your great work and for your inspiration. Thank you.